So, ladies and gentlemen, Jose didn't go live for his press conference as we predicted yesterday. So, today is a really good day to talk about the new stadium and the mystery behind this new stadium. Now, why do I say mystery? I use the word mystery, and you've probably seen so many people use the word mystery because this stadium, was set to be built years ago. The project was expected to be started ages ago. And then obviously, due to the transition from AS Roma to the Fredkins, and therefore a new ownership, thing collapsed. And now things are starting to get talked about back again. Because what happens is that it's a project which got abandoned, but it's a project which the Fredkins want to adopt right back again. And in fact, in these last couple of weeks, the people at Roma which represent these kind of things have actually spoken with some politicians here in Italy to try and start this project as soon as possible. Because, as I just said, this is something which links to the branding section of the team. Now, we've understood something very clear when it comes to the new ownership of the Fredkins. And this new thing is that the Fredkins want to bring a big transition to this club. They want to bring this club to the eyes of everyone, to the eyes of every country. They want Roma to be followed everywhere around the world, worldwide. Roma worldwide. This is their big project. And, since the Fredkins arrived, I think they are very successful in doing this. Now, obviously, the basis to do this is grabbing people which the world knows about. Jose got bought. And then after the manager, which brought a lot of people interested in the club, we started thinking about the players. And Dybala, Wijnaldum got brought. Now, I don't know what the next step is, but one of this achieving a branding is definitely by building a new stadium. And when I say that this is a big scale stadium, this is a big scale project, I really mean this. Now, we'll get into the big details of the project, what this project actually offers in a bit, but it's a massive scale. This is more than a stadium. And again, I'll discuss why this is more than a stadium. This isn't just the Olimpico, where, people go, arrive at the stadium, watch the match, get back home. This is a massive scale. And obviously, due to the fact that it's a massive scale, it's gonna take time. And apparently, I've read somewhere that this stadium, there were plans of building a new stadium since so much time. And this stadium was actually set to be open in 2020, and then it never happened. The project collapsed. And one thing which we will talk about in this live stream is the organization in this country, which definitely play a big factor. And for a person who lives in Italy, I can spend years and days and months speaking about how poorly organized this country is. But I think to try and introduce this stadium to you guys, I wanna kind of link all of the big things which it offers, and by starting off with the position. Now, you can see we've got a map of this isn't the entire of Rome. It's the most important part of Rome. You can see the Pantheon down below. You can see the Colosseum. That's the area. That's the city center. That's where, if you followed our Conference League victory and the bus going around the city center, close to the Pantheon and the Colosseum, that's where the bus traveled. Now, the stadium right now, the Olimpico, which is obviously shared by Lazio as well, and it's a state-owned stadium, and this is something which we will talk about again, is the blue dot which you can see on the map. So it isn't close to the city center. It's in the north of Rome, and that is where the Olimpico lays. That's the blue figure which you can see on the map. Now the red figure, which you can see, the red location object thingy, which you can see on the map, is where the new stadium could be built. Actually, where the new stadium is set to be built. which is not very close to where the Olympico is now. It's not close to the city center, and therefore it means you've got space. And space is the primary factor when it comes to building stadiums, when it comes to building big scale things, such as, I don't know, like theme parks, something like that. You need space. And stadiums, we need space for this, because I'm gonna say it again. This is not just a stadium. This is a village. This is a Roma village. And I will exactly speak to you guys. And as I said before, I'll link everything that this stadium has to offer, because I think this will turn out into being a tourist attraction more than a stadium, because the scale is massive. It is massive. Obviously, it's great to have private owned stadiums, and especially in a country like Italy, where basically all stadiums in this area are owned by the state, apart from Udinese Stadium, Juventus Stadium, and Atalanta Stadium. These are the only 3 privately owned stadiums, and without a doubt, they are the best stadiums, because more cure goes into them. Obviously, the Olimpico and San Siro, for example, are historic stadiums, or historic landmarks, and they're kept really well. But other stadiums are terribly looked after. I mean, I'm not sure if you watched this summer. I did that challenge to 5 Serie A stadiums in 15 hours. The stadiums in Italy are not, they're not cured well. And unless it's a private stadium, it really looks rotten. And it kind of enlightens things up when you want to build your own stadium. And before really getting onto the things which this stadium offers, which this village offers, I do want to kind of, if there's one stadium which I can compare this project to, from my understanding, from what I'm seeing, if there's one stadium which I can compare it to, it's probably the Tottenham Stadium. It's the new White Hart Lane in the Premier League I can compare this to. But part of this is even on a bigger scale than that, which leads me on to say that this is not just a stadium. Because it offers so many things. It's a village. It offers, the plan of in this village, apart from having a stadium, it's to have a medical center and a kindergarten. It's to have a gym where people can actually go and train. It's to have 2 very big green areas around the stadium, which make things even better, makes things even more attractive. In the middle of a beautiful green park, makes things so cool. It would have 4,000 parking car spots, and especially it would have a lot of entertainment pre-games. And this is something which the Olimpico lacks a lot. And I think many stadiums in Italy lack. Entertainment before a game is something which little kids, people who are forced to go to the stadium, right? I don't know, a little kid who doesn't like football and is forced to go to the stadium because it's his father's birthday, for example. Entertainment before games, and I mean like games, winning prizes kind of things. And one of these things is actually establishing gaming areas where people can actually play FIFA against each other in this area before going and watch the game. Now, focusing on the kind of on the number side, it would be a 55,000 capacity stadium, which can turn into a 62,000 capacity stadium if, for example, a Champions League final will be held, or Europa League final, or a World Cup final. If anything on a big scale happens, then the 55,000 capacity can easily turn into 62,000. It would be a 160,000 meters squared discipline, made for concerts, made for big events, not just Roma games, concerts, kind of like big scale events. And it would also be something, as I said before, which would attract many people to go and see, just because it would make it a sort of attraction. Now, there would be a fan store, which is very interesting, because another thing which the Olimpico lacks, it does have a little fan store, but it lacks it completely. And part of it is due to the fact that it's a state-owned stadium, and therefore building a fan store next to it wouldn't really make sense. It would also have a museum about Roma, both a physical museum and a technological museum. Because one of the things that this stadium will be very well known for is actually technology. It's supposed to be a very cool techno stadium. And then when it comes to food, there would be many kiosks around the stadium, just like the Olympico right now. You can get a hamburger, hot dog around the stadium, you can get it and eat it inside the stadium. And also something which is revolutionary, because no stadium has it, is food inside the stadium, which is something very big, because food inside stadiums is only served for VIP tickets. If you get a VIP ticket at the Olympico, then you have got the buffet there, you can eat there. But if you don't, you basically are forced at halftime, if you want something, a bite to eat, you're forced to get out of the stadium, get something, and get back inside. That makes no sense. And that's why having kiosks inside the stadium would be something revolutionary, because it would avoid people going outside. It takes time to get out of the stadium, get back in, get in a queue to get the food and all of that. So it would have many of these kind of things which you don't see in stadiums here in Italy. And yeah, so as I said before, this is a stadium which Pallotta first announced, but it obviously collapsed after Pallotta left and with the arrival of the Fredkins. But this project is now going back. It's back on track. In these next few weeks and in the last few weeks, there have been a lot of meetings between some politicians and stuff, legal side of it. Potentially many contracts have also been signed. And now, the big question, which you're probably asking yourself, is when will this stadium potentially be announced, be unveiled? Now, that's a very big question, because, again, in Italy, organization levels are poor. And I mean very poor. This is a poorly organized country. Very poorly, I might add. I might emphasize. This is a very poorly organized country. And a lot of this country is technologically backwards. Now, to see the scale of this project and to see the goal that they've set to open the stadium to, it looks impossible. There is no part of me which believes that this project will be unveiled by the goal that they've established. It is almost impossible. Now, they have said that the goal is to open this stadium in 2026/2027. That is basically, because let's say we're in 2023. In a few months, we're in 2023. That would basically mean that this full-scale project would have to be built in 3 to 4 years. To me, looks almost impossible. And as I said before, this is a country where people are really good at starting things, but when it comes to ending things, it is very complicated. Because what you see a lot of is, we're good at starting things. Nice, let's build that, let's build that, let's build that, let's build that. 80% of the things that get built, never get announced, never get unveiled. So, again, will this stadium open in 2026/2027? I really doubt it. And I really doubt it. Now, just to give you a comparison, right? You might think that this is a bullshit example, but trust me, it's the best example I could give you. Now, this summer I went to Norway, and I'm not even gonna try to compare the organization levels in Norway to Italy. I went to Norway, and in this example, I'm gonna use an example of public transport, which is very important when it comes to your own organization levels in the country. Now, in Norway, in Oslo, a train to get from the hotel to the city center was punctual to the second, and there were like constant trains coming along. Every 2 minutes there would be a train which goes into the city centre, and it was great. Punctual trains, very punctual trains. In Italy, if you wait for a public bus, you will end up waiting minimum 30 minutes. Minimum 30 minutes. It's a poor organized country. And trust me when I say this. What I'm trying to pull out here is this stadium will never be built by 2026 to 2027. Never. There is no part of me which believes that this scale of this can even actually be built in 3 years. Because as I said before, this isn't just a stadium. Right, I build a stadium and it's done. Look at all the things which we have to, in our project. A museum, green areas, parking spots, food kiosks. It's more than just a stadium. And that's why, things are getting up to speed. We are starting, not us. Roma's members, which represent Roma when it comes to these legal things, are starting to speak about these things. A lot of contracts have already been signed and all of that. But this is going to be a long time no see, if we can call it. I don't even know. You see, so much can happen within this time that it's so hard to say it will be built in that day. Because so many unexpected things can happen. This stadium will be built in so long. So we can't be here waiting for it because it's going to be on so much. Who knows if I'll still even be doing YouTube by the time this stadium gets built. Who knows if I'll turn YouTube into a full-time thing. I really don't know. You see, it's so long that things aren't even starting to get built. And to believe that such a thing can be built in 3, even 4 years is almost impossible to believe. But this, ladies and gentlemen, was a quick live stream to talk about the mystery of this stadium. Because you've probably been hearing about this stadium for quite a long while if you've been following Roma. This stadium will be built one day. But the big question is, when will that day be? And that's a great note to end today's stream. But again, it's a massive scale. It would boost Roma's attention worldwide. It would get people to go to this stadium even more because it looks so attractive, and it's a big scale. It's very exciting, but it's going to be in a very, very, very long time. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this live stream, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Let's try and get 6,000 subscribers as fast as possible. If you haven't already, make sure to smash the like button in this video and let me know in the comments if you think it will be built by 2026, 2027, or if it will be something which will get abandoned. Who knows? But if you haven't already, make sure to follow me here on Instagram over at Simon_ASO_. And let me read one comment. We've got one comment saying, what do you think about the Lazio owner said about the big teams in Italy going bankrupt? That guy also said that the Conference League is a trophy for losers. And he's a Lazio owner who won the Conference League last season. There's a bit of salt in the air. So yeah, that's the note I'll leave it on. But yeah, you can't trust someone from Lazio speaking about Roma. It's like saying a Coca-Cola advert says Pepsi is better than Coca-Cola. No. Don't trust Lazio sources speaking about Roma sources. And don't trust Roma sources speaking about Lazio sources. The two make a cross. I'll catch you soon. Simon out.